Hey guys, a video on a new car that is a demonstrator. So this is a stage one. A stage one is a one step up from the simplest service we offer, which is a new car protection package. And it's a little more intensive. So it has, it's designed to restore used cars. If you've been one of our customers and you've bought a new car and had the new car protection done, you might want to do a stage one in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Just to bring it back up again, have the coating reapplied. That's what we'll be doing here. The reason we'll be doing this to a new car is because it's a demo, which means it's not new. Paint is fantastic color. I forgot what the name of the color is, but I'll put it down below. Actually never seen this color in the flesh before. I've never worked on this. I think it's gorgeous. It's very subjective though. I won't go on about it too much. The paint, and I'll put up some stills so you can better see that the paint has a bunch of watermarks on it and some minor marks as well. Not attempting to get it perfect, just attempting to get most of that out and have the paint really slick so that the paint protection can adhere properly. If the paint protection adheres to the substrate, which is the clear coat, properly, then it can give the best performance and longevity. So they'll have the best self-cleaning characteristics, the most easy washing characteristics, and they'll have that for a long time because the paint protection is properly adhering to the surface. That prep that we do before the paint protection is applied, the actual paint protection that we apply to vehicles, something this size, would be about 45 minutes to apply full metal jacket paint protection to everything, the paint, the glass, the headlights, the tail lights, the wheels, absolutely everything. Only about 45 minutes to apply it. But this will have, and a new car is usually 4 to 6 hours, and this will have about 12 to 15 hours at least, maybe even 18 hours of prep, polishing, cleaning, etc. A lot of decontamination because it's very rough. That's the important step. If you can get the best paint protection you can afford, that's great. But paying the most you can for a paint protection product and then skimping or not checking to see that your detailer is either skilled enough or honest enough to do the prep correctly, that renders your amazing paint protection essentially useless. It won't last very long at all. If prep is 99% of the end result, that's a famous phrase from the Detail Addiction Forum back in the day, and it is still true. True for everything, true for every coating. This is a coating. This is paint on cement sheet, and this is paint on steel. No matter what you apply, a coating, this floor has a coating on it, everything must be prepped for you to make sure that the mechanical adhesion of that coating to that substrate is as good as it can possibly be to give you the longevity. And if it's not on there, if that prep's not done, and the paint protection doesn't last very long on there, then it can't give you the performance. So it doesn't matter how good that product is, it's useless without good prep. I won't go on about that anymore. I'm going to walk around the car and show you some of the issues we've got with it. So one of the first, well, it's not really an issue, but it's something I don't like, and most customers tend to agree once it's explained to them, is this advertising around the registration plate. Very common. I think every dealer in the world would add advertising to a registration plate. I think that it clutters the look, and I'd love to speak to someone who designs these cars, not an engineer, but someone who actually pens these designs and makes a car look this way. I'm betting if I asked them, they would say they don't like this kind of aftermarket stuff. Because it disturbs the nice clean lines of an otherwise handsome looking vehicle. The other thing I don't like are these ADR mandated plastic strips here. Back in the day I did some ADR work, and the rules stated that registration plates must be plumb, that is, that they have to hang 90 degrees and be able to be photographed correctly. And because of the shape of some bars, they required these plastics here to adjust the number plate so that it could be flat, plumb 90 degrees to the road surface. We were removing these on a lot of vehicles because they were easy, and they got more and more and more difficult, and this one's even more difficult again because you've got holes in the bumper bar, these rivets here. So if you remove this, you'd be left with 2 holes here, which means you'd need to get a bigger plate, something like a full-size Euro, to then cover those holes, or you'd have to plastic weld these holes and paint the bar. That's a $1,000 job. And you've got a camera here, which all this can be solved, but it's so expensive, and I really don't think the customer is up for that kind of thing. Another thing which just irks me is these misinformation labels.
This is all wrong.
Back in the 90s, I think it was, very late 90s, these were introduced, and I think it was a government representative that came to see me to explain what they were, and I think there was a good reason for having them back then. These would allow you to see what kind of fuel consumption the car had according to the testing data, because this is indicative of what you should expect, but you'll never, it depends on how you drive the vehicle, the conditions and the kind of use that you have. Also, while I'm here, what upsets me is here on an electric vehicle you'd find 0. I purchased an electric vehicle, it came with a fuel consumption label and it said that it had 0 emissions, which is just plain misinformation. I charge my electric vehicle sometimes here, from this point here. And that means that my vehicle is charged with electricity from, I think, your lawn power station, which burns coal.
How dare you!
My point is, I think these are fairly useless now, and I'm sure that this program adds a cost to the consumer, and it should be, we should get rid of it. The representative that explained these labels to me also told me that these labels must be applied to the vehicles, and I was applying them to some vehicles before they were registered. Once the vehicle was registered, that label had to come off. It irks me because people drive around with these labels and they just clutters up the front of the vehicle. They don't present as well, and they take all of 1 minute to remove. You peel the label off, you clean the glass with some glass cleaner and a cloth, and you're done. That label's gone. You don't need to drive around. I mean, you can do it. I think technically it actually is illegal to keep that there, but I don't think there is any police officer that's going to fine you for having a fuel consumption label on your car. But you don't need to drive around displaying fuel consumption to everyone else on the road. I think that's kind of useless. So if you've got one of those, get rid of it. It'll take you 30 seconds to do. It'll make your vehicle present better. And when I say this and people say, who cares with whether my vehicle is presented better or not, when you leave the house, you shower and you put on clean clothes, you comb your hair and you present yourself well. Don't turn up in a dirty car that hasn't been vacuumed for 6 months. It's got labels half peeling off on the windscreen, things like that, for the sake of a few minutes work. Just present your vehicle well so that when you get out of it presented well, everything is done correctly. And don't drive around in something filthy. It's part of presentation, just like your clothing, in my opinion.
How dare you!
At the back of the car here, we've got a 4Motion badge, which I will be removing. This is getting more and more popular, and I think it's a really good thing. You've got a lot of clutter on the back of this vehicle. You've got advertising up here for the dealer, a sticker. It's not in the way of rear wheel vision, which used to be a problem. Sometimes they were put right in the way, so every time you looked in your rear vision mirror, you'd see through or had to look around a label, which was advertising. You've got more advertising here, number plate. This is normal that you'd have at least one piece of advertising on the rear of the car. Usually it's 2, and sometimes, very rarely, it's 3 or more. Customer's decided to remove this 4Motion badge because he, like me, wants less clutter on the back, less to clean around. This little, the inside of this number 4 will definitely fill up with dirt, and it's already got, you probably can't see it on camera, it's already got some fibres attached to it that it's pulled from a cloth. And you don't need to tell the people behind you, driving behind you, that you have Volkswagen's version of 4-wheel drive. It's just unnecessary to advertise that to them. Or a trim level or whatever, who cares? I've never understood why you'd want to advertise to people what trim level you purchased in the vehicle. This is another thing that's common to Volkswagen, unfortunately. They have these black acrylic B-pillar covers, which are all scratchy. We'll fix that. And when they pulled off the transport plastics, there'll be usually white vinyl or whatever, some plastic there that protects it during transport, which is a good thing. And they're pulled off. And when they pull them off, they leave the little bits of adhesive behind. You can see that at the top there, those little white lines, that's adhesive that will clean off. It takes all of a minute to remove the little white lines there. That's what's left of the adhesive when the sticker's removed. And we'll remove that. There were some little things as well, like some dirt in here, because it's a demo. And I'm guessing it's probably 6 months to a year old, judging by how much dirt and how ingrained it looks. Hasn't been washed correctly, so you've got dirt built up around here. That will take a little bit of cleaning, not a big deal. Difficult to see here, but in this channel here on the rear window, there's a whole bunch of dirt caked in there, and on the roof and around the rest of the vehicle. Wheels look really good. Dealer did a really good job. There's no tyre balancing marks, and the wheels look very, very, very neat. They just need a really good clean. I'll strip that tyre dressing off because it's not very good quality tyre dressing, or it wasn't applied to a clean tyre and it's flicked up underneath the wheel arches, and the wheel arches are all oily and sticky as a result. Then some decontamination, some paint correction to remove the few scratches that there are, and some watermarking. There's also, see if we can get it on camera here, but I'll put up some B-roll. There's some bird dropping etching. And this should present much, much better. So you said you wanted to see more of these quick, low production value videos, just nothing fancy with camera work, just straight to the point. And I promised I'd get another 1 or 2 of them up. This is a good example that came in, and I'd like to give the customer, seems like a really nice guy, I'd like to give him a video with the documentation. I always take images of jobs and I send them to the customer as I'm progressing through the job. I might make a video about how and why I do that, but I'll document it a little bit more thoroughly this time so that he has a little bit more thorough documentation and you get to see what I do, because apparently you are interested on how I would do a demo and get it up to new car standards, so new car presentation. This will present just like a new car. It'd be really, really crisp after just a couple of days work, and I'll document all that so you can see what I'm up to. Okay, hope you enjoy. Thank you. All right, so I've just cleaned inside the fuel filler cap, and I've done that with a generic brush. And a little bit of Jaffa, which is our citrus degreaser. Just make sure you agitate. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. If you're using a proper citrus degreaser, then it doesn't have to be something that's too aggressive, and it's best off not to use something that's too aggressive because you could stain the plastics. But the product that I use is very gentle, and in here all these trims, I've cleaned that again with Jaffa and toothbrush. There's nothing wrong with using a toothbrush in here. You just got to be very careful. Actually, you don't have to be that careful, but yeah, just don't be silly and rub it on the paint. Don't do that. Just make sure that you're only putting it in here, and you just got to lightly agitate those rubbers, especially get into the corners. I've heated the neck here and bent it. Just makes it easier to use things like this, keeps the handle out of the way. You can't do any damage to glass. You'll do very, very little damage if it comes in contact, which it's likely to on this anodized trim. And even if you get it on the paintwork, really not going to do that much damage at all, and you can quickly and easily repair it, even by hand. So now I'm going to rinse off all of this. The car's been washed, and I've just tended to those little areas that had a build-up of stuff. I'm going to rinse that all off and decontaminate, dry, and then do chemical decontamination, and then we're ready to go for paintwork correction.